it's cool when you kind of just love an artist so much and just like trust that whatever they're going to come up with, you're going to like, and then it really kind of, it follows through in it, and it's just like, fuck yeah, this is awesome.
Hi, my name's Holly, and I'm joined by BENEE for the latest in NME's In Conversation series. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. So you're at home in New Zealand at the moment, right?
I am. Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah. So you're just enjoying the last of the home comforts before you head off for some very busy months ahead of you.
I think we've got 3 weeks left, so making the most of the New Zealand weather and the chill island vibe, but also ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
Been here for too long.
So I'm sure this is, probably quite an exciting week for you. You're in the home stretch now before the release of your new EP, Lychee, is out. So after the release of your debut album in 2020, why an EP for the next release and not another album?
I actually just prefer like the format of an EP more. I just think that like with streaming now and everything and the way that I like to consume music, I feel like, putting like 5 or 7 songs and then releasing them and then maybe doing like another EP to follow that, I feel is like a nice, easy listening kind of, I don't know. And I feel like also with albums, there's more pressure and like you work for ages and then release it and then it's like quiet for ages because you kind of put everything into the album. So I don't know. I like the idea of kind of like just trickling songs out in EP.
So what's changed creatively for the project and what did you want to convey with this EP?
I worked with a lot of different producers in this project, which is kind of different to my previous works because usually I work like mainly with my producer Josh, who's in New Zealand. But I went away to LA at the end of last year and worked with this guy called Rostam on one of the songs, Greg Kirsten on 2 of the songs, and then Kenny Beats on another one of the songs. So it was like a big like mix up of different kind of completely different vibes, obviously. And I don't know, I feel like there's not really like one theme or anything that I'm sticking to, but there's definitely like a different energy, I guess, to like my Hey UX album. I think that was more like, I don't know, I feel like that was more kind of like sad girl COVID-y. Like it was like deep in the COVID time when like we were in lockdown still. But I think finishing up the EP in LA and like now having, this kind of clearing where like there is kind of like a future, I guess, this year, like for, we're not all going to be in lockdown, we're going to be touring. I think I had this different kind of like happy energy and it was like, it was a lot more inspiring, I think, like the process of the writing. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's a mixture still of like different songs and genres, but I think that's what I'm wanting to do with like every project.
Yeah, so what would you say the writing project was, so the writing process was like on this? Because obviously, as you said, you were in LA, as you were for the writing your debut as well, but the world is in a very different place to what it was, back when you wrote your debut album. So, when you kind of sat down to write the lyrics, did it come a lot more easily to you this time?
Yeah, I think so. Well, because I had been like working and I worked on the 3 of the songs in the EP I made with Josh in New Zealand. I think at the start of last year, it was when I was kind of like making songs for the project and like I was just getting a little bit repetitive. Like it was all quite kind of like slow and boring, I thought. So I was like, I don't know, I feel like going to LA and being in this completely new environment, having been in lockdown, like a strict lockdown for like 2 years or whatever, I think kind of just was super inspiring. And I think that like just the writing process, I kind of approached it in a like much more kind of creative writing way. I don't know. I feel like, I'm like Marry Myself and Beach Boy and that they're all just like made up stories. But I think I kind of like, that's just how I was feeling. I was kind of like, I'm going to just like, I just feel like writing about this right now. And I think that was definitely a lot of that had to do with where I was and where the world was at the time.
Mm-hmm. And,
Yeah.
you know, with an EP, you have to be obviously a lot more disciplined with kind of what makes it onto it, because, you know, there's only 7 songs. So did you go about writing those songs, just those 7, or did you kind of pull from lots of other material that you've been working on?
Yeah, there's a lot of other material that I had been working on, and it's always like, yeah, it was a weird one. Like there were a couple of songs that like were going to be, you know, maybe held on to for a little longer, or maybe some that I thought were going to be in it that are not in it. So it's I mean, I have a bunch of songs, which is cool because it means, you know, I can make another EP soon and release that. But yeah, it was definitely a shuffling process, and I think like finishing up the songs in LA kind of made me feel like it was like really finished. I think I kind of had like semi like placeholder songs, you know, that could have potentially been in it, but yeah, these ones I was happier with.
And going back to when you were actually in the process of releasing your debut album, so of course you had Supalonely behind you, you know, one of the defining songs of the pandemic, which reached a staggering 4 billion streams or something like that. Did that add any pressure to the debut album when you were releasing that, having that massive hit behind you?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I kind of like wasn't so much feeling it at the time because I was like a little bit like, you know, I was thinking about other things. But like now that I think about it, I'm like, shoot, like there were a lot of people who were like wanting another Supalonely in that project, and maybe it wasn't what they were like expecting. So there was definitely, I mean, I definitely see that there was a pressure. Maybe I just didn't recognize it at the time. I don't know. Yeah.
And what was it like watching all of those numbers build up? I mean, were you looking at the stats, or was it kind of a good way to grasp how it was doing out in the world when, you know, you probably felt quite just like insular about the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because like we were in our first lockdown here, and it was like you really weren't allowed to leave your house unless you were like walking for exercise. So I like didn't see it around me. Like, you know, it wasn't like people were kind of recognizing me at the time or whatever. So I was chilling. But yeah, I mean, I was doing interviews most days, and I had people like updating me with like streaming numbers and everything. And like, obviously people were tagging me all the time. So I was surprised. I was like, this is insane. I've never kind of seen this happen. And this has never happened to me. And like, especially not that fast. It was pretty wild.
What do you think now when you look back at that time? I mean, everyone's got their own memories of, you know, their first lockdowns. What does that look like to you?
It was definitely like, it felt like some kind of apocalypse. I don't know, like if that was just us here in New Zealand or whatever, but like, yeah, just I think that just the not knowing was the really weird thing. And like, you know, I would have not expected it to be like this, you know, catastrophic. I think that like obviously it was terrible when it was happening at the start, but we had no idea like quite how like crazy it would all get. So I think, yeah, I don't know, it was I think everyone was a little bit like, their spirits were a little higher in the first like lockdown, and then when when like stuff really like hit the fan, it kind of was like, whoa, okay, this is actually really not a good time at all.
And then obviously working on your debut album, you were lucky to work with some absolutely massive names, you know, Grimes, Lily Allen, Flo Milli. Was there anyone you really clicked with artistically on this project?
Unfortunately, I had to do like every feature through like the interweb. It was like basically just like DMs and like sending files, which was kind of sad. But I think, I don't know, I love Grimes and I like look up to her as an artist, and I just love everything that she comes up with. So I think like just being able to like hand her the song and kind of give her my lyrics and tell her what it was about and stuff, and then just having her like send back this verse, I just like loved all of it. And so that for me was like, okay, like it's cool when you kind of just love an artist so much and just like trust that whatever they're going to come up with you're going to like, and then it really kind of, you know, it it follows through in it, and it's just like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Like, so I think that was definitely a highlight.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to speak to each other at all? Did you like jump on a Zoom call or anything? Like, what was the
only DMs? But she seems really lovely. I hopped on a quick call with Lily because she was writing her verse with my friend Jenna Andrews, and we were just having a conversation about like the lyric. And I think they had originally written this verse that was like, we kind of had this miscommunication because they originally wrote this verse which was like dissing me, and I was like, no, we're not. No, we're all like banding together to like diss an ex and like, you know, making our ex feel bad. Like this is like a kind of, you know, like an anthem, us all coming together. So I had to like have a call with them and be like, let's just like, we're all together in this one. It's not like hating each other. But that was kind of funny.
I'm sure that was probably a really nice way to kind of come out of the worst of the pandemic. You know, you got this massive hit and then this great debut album as well. And of course, everyone's path during the pandemic was altered in some way or another, some for better, some for worse. Do you ever wonder what the trajectory of your career would have looked like if it wasn't for that time that kind of was driving everyone to TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really have no idea like what would have happened, or, you know, whether the song would have popped off as much or whatever. And I will never know. But I do know that like if I had been able to go out and like play shows and everything, I think I would be in a very different like situation. I think that like the months following a song going off, like live shows and like connecting to people in real life is such an important, like crucial time. So like I've definitely seen a lot of people drop off in the last year because it's like, you know, you can't stay connected that much when you're an artist and you've got people listening to you. Like you can't build like, you know, a proper relationship with them. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
When you say drop off, do you mean like fans?
I've dropped off. Yeah. Fans just like, I mean, I guess like I've just watched like numbers like, you know, go way down. And I mean, I feel like that a lot of my other muso friends have also kind of noticed that like, I don't know, like Instagram followers or whatever have gone down a huge amount. But I have like BENEE fan accounts like tagging me saying, what happened? Like all the numbers changing. I'm like, oh my God, like what am I doing wrong? But I mean, I guess it's just like the times right now. It's kind of just a weird time for music. Like people are streaming, but like, you know, at the same time, like artists aren't. I don't know. I feel like we're kind of disconnected in a weird like way.
And how does that make you feel? Are you able to kind of ignore the people that are, you know, looking at the numbers, or can you ignore the numbers? Does that bother you at all?
I've definitely come around to it, but like last year when I was like already like not feeling good, and then I had that on top of it, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like everyone's going to give up on me. But I think, you know, it's and also I hadn't really released that much or whatever. I had released the album and then it was just like a quiet period. So it was definitely like a weird, like uncertain kind of, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing, but I mean, it's different now because it's like, you know, I've got songs out and you get the feedback and it's like, it reminds you that people are still there. It's just easy to kind of like forget that sometimes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned some of the big names that you work with on this album, so Kenny Beats and Rostam. So are you a Vampire Weekend fan at all?
I actually found out about him because of the Softly album by Clero, but Vampire Weekend is sick, but that is actually how I found out about him.
Okay. What did they bring to the project for you?
I think just like the production, and then like I remember like I've been following Clero for ages. She writes a bunch of notes. Like she did this post writing a bunch of notes being like, I don't know, it was just like talking about like whether she'd let Rostam like work on the whole EP and like write with her on the whole EP and stuff, and then like kind of diving into the songs more. And then like I always look at credits as well, so I'm like who's produced this or whatever. So I guess I kind of just like studied that, and then I don't know, like just all of his songs like Sophia and stuff are just so sick. But I think he's just got a great ear, and like everything that he comes up with, even like Vampire Weekend, like all the guitar-y stuff and all of that production is just so on point.
And speaking of vampires, so latest single on the EP, Beach Boy. So obviously it's like super breezy, like sunny kind of feel, and you said it's like perfect for like driving down the freeway with the top down. And then the music video is like vampire themed. So I know you said that you're a Twilight fan. So where did this idea come about?
Well, I worked with this guy called Rome. His name's Rory, and he had directed the Supalonely video as well. And he's just like this really cool dude who comes up with crazy ideas. And basically, originally had this idea, like I kind of went to him and just wanted to see what he would come up with, just completely randomly, without me saying anything, because I was originally thinking like, all right, let's make it like a beachy, datey, like, I don't know, kind of parody video or whatever. And he came up with this like weird like devil idea, like really dark, and like I was kind of like, this is very odd, but I like it. But then I was like, I obviously didn't like it enough to like go with that idea. But then I don't know, I had this other discussion on the phone, and I was like, I want a vampire moment. And like, you know, I feel like, I don't know. I kind of, obviously I love Twilight, and he kind of just had this weird idea of like this like vampire, like admirer dude who is just kind of like my boyfriend in a video for a day. And it's like, I mean, he comes up with the weirdest ideas, but they're all like cool. But I would have not like come up with that vibe myself, like very, very polar opposite to the music, but works.
So very important question. Are you team Edward or team Jacob?
I'm team Edward all the way. He's actually like, oh my goodness. Did you see his new shoot?
Yeah.
Oh my God. The what?
GQ one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he's insane. He is insane. But yeah, there you go.
Was he the muse for the music video?
Totally.
And, you know, there's a lot of layers on Lychee, and, you know, Doesn't Matter is such a moving and touching song. And you spoke about how, you know, it's about your mental health, and it kind of came about after your OCD diagnosis. And of course, even a diagnosis alone can just be life-changing. So in terms of like your outlook and your creativity, once you had that diagnosis, and I'm interested how that kind of changed your creative process or your writing process.
Well, I think like I went to a psychiatrist, and I was seeing a psychologist at the time, and then I got prescribed fluoxetine, and it just made me like completely different person. Like, I mean, in a good way, because I was just in a big hole, and like the OCD was just like taking up too much of my life. And then being on the meds, like, you know, I kind of was a little bit hesitant to like go on anything, because I was like, is it going to change my personality? Is it going to make me less creative? And apparently those are some, I don't know, side effects that some people feel. But for me, it was like the complete opposite. And I think, I don't know, I just had this like happy energy where I was like, okay, I feel like a little bit more myself now. And I think that going into then, like, I kind of went to LA for the trip, like as the meds had like just kicked in. So I was stoked. I just got to LA and I was like, okay, I'm ready to like make some fresh music, because the stuff that I had been making at home was just not it. It wasn't it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, taking the phrase, it doesn't matter, it's so interesting in the song, because obviously you've probably heard people say that to you, trying to help you, saying it doesn't matter. Why did that become the focus of the song? Like, why that lyric?
I just feel like it's such a common thing that people say, you know, when trying to like make someone feel better. But I think that it's like the biggest mistake. Like, it's like the thing that someone who's dealing with something does not want to hear, because it's like, and it's weird because like I'll do the same, you know, like I'll probably still, like, I'm not out here saying that I don't worry about it, like it doesn't matter. It's just weird that we kind of instantly jump to that, like when, you know, we know that actually doesn't help. So I don't know, I thought it was like a nice line. Yeah. But also I didn't even know, like when I have my lyrics, I didn't even know what's going to be like in the chorus. It was kind of like I freestyled melodies and just had all of my lyrics written down. And that happened to make the part for the chorus.
So there's also the line in the song, Something's at the Window, and it kind of reminded me of the line in Night Garden where you said, feel like someone's watching me.
Yeah.
What is it about this idea that kind of has this pull on you that you've come back to?
I think that was like one of my main like paranoia, like this kind of like repetitive fear that was just like it was so like time consuming. Every night I'd just like be like stressing and thinking that there was going to be someone else at my door like looking in at me, and like that they were like watching me, and that maybe I'd get kidnapped. I definitely thought that like a couple of years ago I was just like would not go to sleep because I'd be so like paranoid that that would happen. And yeah, I mean, I think in Night Garden, you know, that's when I kind of turned it into kind of like a cute, like, oh, not cute, but like, I don't know, I feel like that was slightly more playful. Whereas with Doesn't Matter, it's like, okay, this is like me admitting that this is actually something that like I like fear. So yeah, I don't know.
I want to ask you as well about Make You Sick. So it kind of takes you by surprise at the end of the EP. It's like so epic and it's proportionally nearly 7 minutes long. You know, the electronic effects on it kind of reminds me of like sound effects from The Matrix or something. So what is this song about, and how did you go about conceptualizing all of the, you know, sort of voice distortion effects on it?
Yes. Well, originally it was actually for a fashion show. So like a brand approached me and was like, can you make, I think it was like a 13-minute song. So I like got into the studio with Josh and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm writing about. Half of the like lyrics in the song are not even like lyrics. Like I kind of like wrote them after listening to it because I had to like send lyrics to my label. So I was like, I actually like, I don't want to change it and make it like really clear. I quite like where it sits, but yeah, I just had like, I was in my head, I was just like, all right, I'm thinking like a badass, like walking down the runway, kind of channeling my inner like bad bitch. And yeah, I don't even know what I was even writing about, but it was all over the place. And I just went into the booth with lyrics and then just kept asking him to like chuck on crazy effects. And he was like going through all of these effects. And then when the one that like cuts up my vocals a ton, like when that one came on, I was like, oh, we are on. Like I wanted to like get that real kind of like, I don't know, like deep, like kind of like techno-y, like electronic, girly, I don't even know. But it was really fun to make, and it was a lot longer than it is now. It kind of went from 13 minutes to then 9 minutes, and I put it on in the CD for Hey UX, like as a bonus track, like if people bought the CD. And then I like made sure that it was going to be in this EP. Everyone was like, don't put it in the EP. And I was like, I just want to release it. Someone's already burned it on YouTube. So like, let's just make it 7 minutes and pop it in here. But it's a journey, that song. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so now looking ahead to this year, you've got a massive world tour ahead of you, but you have done a few shows already. So what's it been like to get back performing, obviously after the start of your career, the breakout of your career was obviously very different?
It's been awesome. I mean, like playing in New Zealand, I've only played like one show this year, which was like, it was awesome. And it was like, you know, it was so kind of, I just feel like it was so long, like that we had just been kind of sitting there and just like wondering if we were going to play at all for like the next year or whatever. But now kind of like being like somewhat reassured and knowing that the tour's going ahead and everything, I think we're just like, I don't know, it's very different when you play outside of New Zealand. And that's not something that I've done. I haven't done that for like over 2 years or something. The last show I played out in New Zealand was in Australia, I think. But it feels like ages ago. So the band and I are just excited, I think. Mm-hmm. And I feel like everyone else who's like, you know, people who are going to gigs now, it's like this new kind of level of excitement where everyone's just like celebrating. So it's, yeah, looking forward to it.
What's it like performing Supalonely live? Is everyone kind of like body rolling and making
It's crazy. It's definitely different to when we were playing it when it had kind of like first come out. So it's crazy to kind of it's always insane when you play a song that like is popular. I just feed off the crowd's energy and it's just like it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And obviously this is a world tour coming up, so there's so many dates and a lot of them are really close together as well. So have you got any plans, or has anyone given you any advice about how to kind of look after yourself on the road, or how to, you know, make it a bit easier on you?
I'm still figuring out my game plan, but I think I'm gonna be sleeping a lot when I can. So that's and just eating healthy, and I've got a personal trainer who's going to Zoom me, so just staying healthy.
Amazing. And obviously you've got your own label as well, so in terms of, you know, plans for this year, have you got anything planned there? And also just what's it like getting to be the boss?
To be the boss, it's awesome. I love it. We've recently signed this band this Tuesday, and we were meant to have like a showcase, basically kind of this, we had this really cool plan to have this like show in this cool spot and like, you know, have them perform, and we had to make it virtual because of COVID. But I'm bringing Maroki to Australia with me to come on tour, so that'll be really fun. And I think I mean, when things go back to semi-normal here and when I come back from tour, I think it'll be really exciting to like, you know, be able to show people them in real life and to really kind of, you know, I mean, I'm like I feel like a cheerleader, you know, I'm just like, I'm here just like putting them in front of people. But it's been insane. Like, I just love that, you know, I can, you know, find artists who I love and then like work with them and support them and get them in front of audiences and like just rave to everyone about them. I feel like it's like my dream job. It's like my A&R dream. So and it's great being the boss and being like, I mean, having this whole thing based around being like artist friendly and just, you know, basically doing everything differently, like to other labels, like I'm describing this in the most like difficult way. Like I'm getting myself into a hole right now. Basically just like not just doing everything that I wouldn't want to have to deal with. Does that make sense? Doing everything that I don't want to have to deal with a label, or that I've things that I've dealt with that have been like bad with labels. I'm just like staying very far away from that with them. I don't know. That was really complicated. Didn't need to be.
And then outside of you know, the artists that you're working with on your label, are you working with anyone else at the moment on new material?
Yes I am. I've got like so many feature songs with artists. Like I was counting them yesterday and I was like, this year people are gonna be like, this girl is just like doing too much. Like I love featuring on people's songs. So I mean, I'm stoked. And I think there's like at least 7. So I'm like excited for everyone to hear. And I mean, it's fun to do features because they can be like completely different to all of my music. But that's kind of, there are no features on my EP, but I've made it up by other features.
Okay. And just to wrap up, in terms of longer term plans, are you looking at another full length album anytime soon, or maybe just looking at putting out some more EPs?
I think for this year, EPs, but I will make it another album eventually. I think, you know, there's something exciting about an album and it feels more legit. But we will see.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been so lovely to talk to you today. Best of luck with all of the shows that you have ahead of you and with the EP release.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Audience.